If we don't speak out, we already see our kids will speak out. But if nobody speaks out, God will speak out for himself.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Obliterating social norms and overrunning the cultural corrosion with righteous rhetoric and common sense. This is Overflow, the extended conversation covering life, today's newsbreakers, and the occasional banter with the most interesting members of the human species. Signaling from the conservative chasm of Central Valley, California. It's the outlaws your conscience warned you about. Let's welcome your hosts, Loto and Philville.
What is going on, Podland? It is your boy here with Philville for episode 39. Oh my gosh.
All right.
Whew, praise the Lord. Amen. Bro, we are almost at 40.
40.
Philville.
Season 1 of almost 40.
Yes.
Man.
I'm a little bit scared, bro.
I know. I mean, when I reach 40 one of these years, I think 15 years.
Yes.
I can't, I know it's a milestone.
Man, he just said that with a straight face, bro.
Moving on, Ron.
But
we're going to bleep that right there.
I'm wondering what overflow at a midlife crisis looks like, at 40. So we shall see,
We
man.
shall see, yep.
Philville, speaking of show, man, why don't you drop the drip, brother?
Oh, yes. We got a huge lineup. I can't wait to talk about a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
There's some sports highlights we're going to talk about. Your take on the NBA. We can't wait. Yes. And then so there's some interference taking place. The DOJ. I don't know if you heard about this guy named Trump.
I think I heard.
Yeah. And the FBI, media, they're all in cahoots. Yes.
Maybe.
And then something's happening in the game show industry. Icon is retiring.
Yes.
Is it forced retirement? I don't know. Well, then also too, here in the great state of woke California, there's some bills that are affecting maybe our households here. We'll find out. And then the woke month of this month. Woke month of this month. Well, this month, there's some wokeness always happening.
Always.
We got to talk about that. The woke on the lawn at the White House. Yeah, okay. And then we got to talk about the Walking Dead. It's a little scary horror movie that took place in real life, and that and a whole lot more here on Overflow EXT podcast.
Nice.
Loto, you had some great, powerful ministry recently just happened, but it wasn't at church.
No,
that's great.
bro.
Great ministry at church. It wasn't this time at Juvenile Hall, but that's always happening, and we're going to talk about that too.
Yep.
But something happened in an unforeseen place. What was that, and where was it?
So, bro, I mean, it was awesome, man. Yeah. This last weekend had a fantastic week of ministry. And like you said, one of those ministry places was not your usual, but if we really think about it, bro, it should be more usual. And it is a shame that it's not usually at hospitals, where ministry is taking place. Yeah. I thank God, though, for all the chaplains, in the hospitals and those who go there to pray for people. I know quite a few prayer warriors that's always, out there praying for family and loved ones, who's dealing with some kind of illness. Yeah. But this last Tuesday, we showed up to pray for one of the team members of the JJC ministry, and just amazing family, man. I love this family. It's Harvey and Maria. Yeah. And Maria, she's in the hospital. She's dealing with some blood issues. What are they? Platelets or something like that. And there's supposed to be 150,000, platelets in your blood. That's normal. Her count got down to about 60,000, got down to 20,000. At one point, it was at 5,000, back up to 6,000, then 1,000. That was the Tuesday that people showed up. And right after that, it went into the basement, brother. It went into the negative, the count. Wow. So it's like, what is going on? They ran more tests and all that. But praise God, brother, as I'm sitting here, I believe our last count was 3,000, so we're moving in the right direction. She was able to get in the wheelchair and wheel around with her husband, so everyone, please remember MQ, Maria Quintero, in your prayers. Just amazing sister. I mean, feel it. This, what her response was to everything we were saying?
What's that?
Watch God work. Watch God work. That's like a hashtag right there, brother. Watch God work. So the thing is, we went out there, they asked, that people come and pray for her. So last Tuesday we gathered, brother, outside of the hospital, right under her window. And you're talking some 100 people that showed up and prayed. And Philville, we had church. We had church now.
Man.
Now let me tell you why. We're all standing out there. We're getting ready to start praying. The phone's handed over to me by her daughter, and she says, "My mom wants to talk to you." You know, and so I get on the phone and say, "Hey." She says, Brother Loto, there's people out there that's not saved. You know, I have family members, you know, lovers that's not saved. And it just blew my mind, brother. This girl is in the hospital. She's the one in emergency care. And all she's thinking about are her loved ones that doesn't know Jesus, you know. I that's all I had to hear. You know, I said, okay, sis, you know, that's all I need to know. Hung up, man. And just so happened, I'm sitting on a platform. So, brother, anointing's already there. Prayer warrior's already there. There's a platform. So, you know, just preaching, just jumped out of your boy, man, and got up on that stage and just started preaching, sharing my testimony. Had an awesome tag team partner out there in Bishop Hoyer, amazing man of God. And we pretty much just tag team, brother. But we had church, man. I mean, you had people all over the place praying, shouting. And then, you know, we gave an altar call. People got saved. You know, backsiders came back home, you know, and I was just cracking up. Well, first of all, I was thinking, every hospital needs this. Every hospital needs a prayer army outside of their hospital praying for those in the hospital. You know, I could literally just feel people getting healed, you know, and people are just broken, you know, outside, you know, getting healed and getting saved, you know, and it was fantastic, brother. I was just cracking up though, you know, because man, I was thinking, I wonder if the devil is looking around and saying, who messed with Maria? Family. Because now we got to put up with all of these people who's praying for this hospital now.
Powerful time, and that's on the heels, right? Because they change all the policies in the hospitals, so you can't. The family members can't go in, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys all were gathering outside.
What the devil meant for evil, brother, God meant for good. You know. And it was just, you hit it right on the money, brother. If it wasn't for those new policies or what they're trying to push, who knows? Everybody would have went in and saw her and went home. But no, we all gathered and just prayed heaven, you know, into that place. And I'm just so thankful, bro. It was an awesome week of ministry, bro. And then, you know, like you mentioned, other things at Juvenile Hall. We'll go over that later. But I know that there was some downtime. Yeah,
there was some downtime. I think we kind of coincidentally kind of saw the same movie this past week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what was it? It takes you back to the early well, for me, I wasn't born. I was born in the 90s, so that was just kidding. Man, yeah. Okay, see. Yeah, we're in flashbacks here.
Yes, bro. Amen.
Yes. And what was that? Super Mario Brothers.
Yes.
Very big for childhood. Do you remember that? Like getting the Nintendo and
oh my gosh, yes. I remember.
Man, going the back what's the code breaking things that you do? You get the Nintendo magazine and you could get these codes and
get all the
Mario
codes.
Brothers.
Yeah.
You fly to the wall, these sub these other like dimensions. I don't even know how to call them right now, but yeah. You know that I didn't know this. Looking this up, as Nintendo's been around since. What do you think when Nintendo came?
Well, I know it was like dropped like what 80.
The 80s, right?
88 or something like that. Early
80s or something. Yeah. While the Nintendo actually came from the 1889.
Really?
Yeah, from Nintendo. His name was, I can't pronounce it. It's a Japanese name. Yamakauchi Nintendo from 1889. I guess so. That was, they did playing cards back then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it evolved. Then you get into the gaming, I think, till the 80s. And so they were part of that industry. And now they're still around and creating all these great games. And now they're making movies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Mario Brothers now, as of date, has $1.34 billion globally. And putting it at number 18 all time. So I think it's kind of beat out now. Frozen, our producers are here. Favorite movie. He sings that all the time. Let It Go. Yeah, and he says he's never seen it. He just dresses. I mean, he just sings the song. Okay.
Jeez, no, but that's amazing, man.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. What'd you think, though? What'd you think?
I absolutely love. I mean, you saw my post on Facebook, bro. I said, man, why did anybody tell me this is gonna be one of my favorite movies ever? I mean, ever, bro. But no, bro, man, I love this movie. I was really taken back, bro, by how much I really liked it. I thought it was something like, I'm just gonna waste some time, had some things canceled, so I had a little bit of time to watch something. And no, bro, you know what else got me?
What's that?
Was the soundtrack. The music.
Yeah.
Wasn't it awesome?
Yes. And the way they modernized the songs, the ones we just did a little while ago. And I really took me back. I was surprised on how they so much tied in the real world and they connected to another. They made it all work. Like, it makes sense. Oh, that's why that happened.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you see it at home or in the theater?
At home. Yeah. Like I said, because we canceled some things. I had some time, so I just do it on the phone, and bro, it was
okay.
It was really, really cool.
And I'm just curious. I'm sure a lot of our listeners and those watch. How was the descriptive? How was it in comparison? How was that for you?
It was, it was awesome. It was great, and I love those types of movies because I have memory.
Yeah.
And so I can totally see it. I can totally see it because I know how Mario looks, so I kind of figured they did pretty close, with Chris Pratt, and Luigi, so I had all that going. Again, bro, I have the greatest theater system in the universe, imagination, so I get to see whatever I want to see. I have my own special effects and all of that. So it was just a blast, bro. And it just really took me back to, I think I was like 8 years old, with my brothers, my cousins, when we, Christmas. I'll never forget it, man. Christmas. Oh my gosh. That Christmas changed our lives forever.
Yeah. I think we talked a little bit about one of our Christmas specials or they're going to be having a lot more, part 1, part 2, probably spinoffs, something.
They have to, bro. Yeah. Yoshi wasn't in there. Now, did you see the tease?
What's that?
With the dinosaurs running in the back.
I didn't catch that.
Yes, when they were leaving, him and Princess was leaving.
Yeah.
To the other land. We don't want to give too much away. But yeah. There was a like a stampede that ran by.
I gotta look at that again.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the controversy before it came out about Chris Pratt? So because he was having his accent, Italian accent.
Oh,
and they said, well, he's not Italian, so they made it very like cultural appropriation. And anyways, they were just making a big thing about something, or do you think? I
think that's very dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I that's just my first thought, blunt answer. I get it. I understand, but so what? Should only people like me playing blind people in the movies? Because that's really what it really comes down to. Because how can you avoid that, right?
Yeah.
Unless is he Italian? I don't think he's Italian, right?
No, he's not. But
so what do? You only hire Italians to do Italian parts? So
I was hired to do a 6'4" character.
Arnold, you almost did the Arnold part, but he got it. So I guess they wanted somebody not as muscular, so they settled for Schwarzenegger for that movie, right?
Okay.
But the movie was great, bro. It was obviously for me, I was really impressed at the acting, so that's why I kind of like, wait a minute, they're complaining about Chris Pratt, but also just the quality and the content. Like, it's a movie that you could just sit in the front with Mia and watch and have no issues, so that was really, really cool. Even though there wasn't anything that you had to censor, what the other part I loved about there were no innuendos. There was no double talk. There was none of that, bro. It was just a good movie.
Yeah, but you're kind of a little suspicious. I mean, call me a naysayer or whatever, but man, can you imagine part 2 and part 3? Let's sprinkle a little bit of wokeism.
Oh no,
they're gonna try to mess up the Nintendo or Super Mario Brothers.
I agree with you 1,000%. We're talking about this movie.
I just movie. Like, please don't ruin it.
I could yes, of course. We have to know that,
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
But this was a good movie, bro. Yeah. It's gonna be hard to top it anyway, though.
Yeah, I can't wait till next time when we see part 2. And you know what? Speaking of time, you know what time it is? It's time for
It's your news makers and breakers.
the NBA playoffs. Surprising the Nuggets take home first title Over the Heat, 94-89, they win. Lodo, did you follow this?
Very fitting that this is the first newsbreaker because, man, yeah, bro, how about it? First time in franchise history that they win the big one, brother. So shout out, big ups to the Nuggets. You know, I actually predicted a sweep. I was one game off. They lost one game, so it wasn't a sweep, but nonetheless, man, what a feat.
Good call. And here's a great quote. They tamed the Timberwolves, burned the Suns out, drained the Lakers, and distinguished the Heat. Congratulations to the first-time champion Denver Nuggets. As we can see right now, those watching after the crazy indictment from the...
It's happening right now, actually.
Yes, actually right now as of this recording. You see all the parade, a special parade taking place.
And that's not for Thanksgiving. That's not a Christmas parade. What kind of parade is that, bro?
It looks like they're having a lot of pride.
Yeah.
But for somebody else, I mean, they're really upset, but they're showing support for the candidate, the leading candidate right now in the race.
Yeah.
So thoughts, Lodo, on the Trump indictment. Trump pleads not guilty to 37 counts in federal hearing there in Florida. And he says there's nothing, he didn't want to take a plea deal, nothing like that, because he says there's nothing to plead guilty about.
So just as you all saw, that's a parade out there. That's actually a protest, you know, but and that's a MAGA protest right there. You have a lot of cheering. You don't have people burning down buildings. You don't have people tearing up, you know, other people's property, you know, and no, these are people that are protesting because Philville, you know, they're cheering and all that. But today something happened that is not something to cheer about. Today, our nation has probably experienced one of its darkest days, you know, when a former president is unfairly, well, according to those of us that actually has looked at the evidence and all that, some of us just believe that this was an unfair hand of justice, and that justice has, again, another, you know, example of justice being weaponized, you know. So as Philville said, you know, this morning, you know, former President Trump went in and pled not guilty, you know, to these charges that he's facing. But yeah, bro, what a sad day in America.
Very sad. And one of the lawyers for Trump quoted, "The targeted political prosecution of a leading political appointment is the type of thing you see in dictatorships like Cuba and Venezuela." That is so true. And that's what happens in Russia. In Russia, they had a lot of political prisoners and people just disappear. And right now, that's what's happening. This is very, not just a biased system. The system is just politicizing this the justice system like we've never seen it before.
Yeah, bro, it's really sad. You know, so many wonder, like, how do you end up with the Cuba? How do you end up with the Russia? How do you end up with the China, where a corrupt, you know, group of people takes over the country? Folks, this is how. This is exactly how, right here. But I'm thankful that here in America, there's still Americans who's willing to step up and push back, you know, with all the corruption. You know, because honestly, Philville, I think it was best said when somebody said that Trump is being indicted for Biden's crimes.
Man, that is so true. I mean, all the stuff that Biden family has done, we talked about it last time, over about 10 years or so. And the very thing that they accused Trump for being impeached for a perfect call, right?
Yeah.
The perfect call for a one sentence, they impeached him for, but now there is supposedly evidence of even more what Biden did with Ukraine. And,
Yes.
do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. You know, before we get there, man, you know, just I want to point out some things. It's sad because it seemed like every single time, you know, those evidence of the Biden family corruption dropped, there were things like this that happened. Trump gets indicted. You know, the laptop thing gets dropped,
That's
you know,
right.
and that's what, you know, and then Trump, you know, he gets indicted. The Mar-a-Lago thing happens, you know, and it just so happened that, you know, we find out that President Biden has documents, you know, hidden in his, you know, offices, you know, and home, you know, and other homes, you know. Then we find out about Mike Pence, you know, and the thing that a lot of people find troubling about this is, like I said earlier, Trump is getting indicted for crimes that Biden is now under investigation, you know, of committing himself, and even Hillary Clinton, These people are doing it again. They're overreaching. Now, some of our viewers might be thinking, wait, what are you guys talking about? There's no evidence. Well, now we're starting to see a lot more of what's really going on.
Let me assist for the purposes of more transparency on this subject. The 1023 produced to the House committees redacted reference that the foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly has audio recordings of his conversation with them. 17 such recordings. According to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 15 audio recordings of phone calls between him and Hunter Biden. According to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 2 audio recordings of phone calls between him and then Vice President Joe Biden. These recordings were allegedly kept as a sort of insurance policy for the foreign national in case that he got into a tight spot. The 1023 also indicates that then Vice President Joe Biden may have been involved in bereavement employing Hunter Biden. Based on
there's nothing to see here, right?
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, just yesterday, as of this recording, that's Senator Chuck Grassley. They call him the king of oversight, bro. This guy's the best at it in all of our government, according to a lot of people that's in the know. He's actually reporting that there is a 1023. Philville, remember we talked about the SARs, the suspicious activity reports that the Department of Treasury, they have to, or the banks has to file whenever they see something suspicious. Well, these 1023s is a lot like the same things, but the FBI created this 1023. And in this 1023, as you all heard, there's word about audio recordings of the bribery going on between Hunter Biden and, yes, President Joe Biden. That just dropped yesterday. So we're looking at some gosh, I mean, it's alleged now, but if these things are true, Philville, it really shows that it is worse than any of us thought, with the corruption in our government, and a matter of fact, this guy, Chuck Grassley, I hear he is the real deal, bro. He doesn't just throw things out there. He doesn't just, get everybody going, and then not come forward with any evidence. No, by the time he actually makes things public, it's almost already sealed. He already knows that he has enough, to go on to finish his thing. And he's going to get the answers to the questions that he wants answered.
Yeah. On the same day, as you mentioned, the 37 indictments of President Trump, that 1023 you're talking about, They did see the 1023, but it's worth noting it was redacted.
Yes.
So he's alluding to some recordings, but they're asking what's behind this is the document that's not classified.
Not classified.
And so what are they hiding? So it goes back from years back, and then the whole $5 million, might be $10 million that Biden received himself for Ukraine in exchange.
Yes.
All these things and the audio recordings is pointing to Ukraine. Ukraine is they're saying that if they have those recordings, right? If they have those recordings.
Now, speaking of alleged, brother, I believe we have an alleged confession from President Biden.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't he was just making things up.
Dollar loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
Yeah. And that was before the election.
Yes.
And the media did not hold him accountable with that.
this is why he's president. So this is Joe Biden actually talking about the incident that we all believe that the 1023 refers to.
Yeah.
And where he took a bribe to help the Burisma out in getting rid of a prosecutor that was prosecuting them. And who was sitting on the board with this executive? Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son. So all of this stuff is starting to come down. And I'm really, really interested to see, bro, because Philville, I'll be honest, there's a lot of fellow Americans that really believe that nothing's going to happen.
And a lot of Americans will also believe that he's compromised.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so he's doing the bidding of Ukraine. They're getting billions upon billions of dollars, and they're not being held accountable where that money is going.
Yeah.
And also, too, they're saying that not just that, other adversaries have that information. And also, too, who gave that document knowing that information from years ago was the FBI itself. So,
yeah, I just
controlling.
Everybody has a piece of this information is controlling them.
Tinfoil.
That tinfoil is starting to look a lot like some ironclad stuff right now because there's a lot of things coming out. I'm just wondering, when are those who's helping these people, with the corruption, going to figure out, like, every time they get involved and start helping, these are the people that gets in trouble.
Yeah.
Because the light is shined on everything and everyone that was involved. So this whole Jack Smith thing and this indictment, you know what this also did? This might have actually opened up doors to bring Hillary Clinton back into focus and to put her under discovery, because the Clintons were mentioned in the indictment, and what that does is it allows Congress and allows investigators to bring in everybody that had to do with the first investigation, which was Hillary Clinton. Remember when James Comey came out and he pretty much laid out everything all the laws that Hillary Clinton broke, and everybody by that point was waiting for him to just go ahead and just say it. He's going to charge her and arrest her. But then he opted to say, but no prosecutor in their right mind would go after somebody for this.
Yeah.
The first chance they get, man, they went right after Trump. But again, because Jack Smith mentioned, the Clintons in his indictment, this actually opens that whole thing up that everybody thought they laid to rest already.
It's coming back.
So there's a lot of that. The other thing that I'm wondering is, and I think maybe the Congress and Chuck Grassley is staying quiet about it, till it's the right time. I'm just speculating, bro. But we just reported last week, right, that Chris Wray was holding out, that he was holding out. He didn't want to reveal anything. He didn't want them to read the document that, again, like you pointed out, is unclassified. So why can't we, the people, not see this unclassified document? But he kept holding out, and he finally, kind of met them halfway after the threat, at the threat of contempt with Congress.
Yeah.
So when does that become obstruction of justice?
Yeah, I think he's trying to protect himself because it implicates him and others in the FBI and other political figures that are who's making the decisions, who's deciding this. Does it go all the way to the top of Merrick Garland? Does it go to the White House itself? Because remember, he said Biden. What was that quote? He said something about he didn't tell the DOJ. I'm paraphrasing to go after Trump. I am being honest.
Oh yes,
it's like it sounds. Yeah, it's like who has to say I'm being honest?
Yeah,
when they just he's lied about a lot of things in his life, including what school he's gone to. He grew up around the Puerto Ricans, African Americans, Hispanics.
There's a slew.
Yeah. Joe Rogan's even pointed that out. It's so hilarious.
It's amazing, bro. You know what's really crazy too? Yeah. So in that document, there's actually the conversation about the bribery, and one of the parties actually says, well, even if they find something, they're not going to find the money because we hid that money under so many, different coverings, like LLCs, different shell companies and all that. It said it's going to take them like 10 years to find it. And when President Biden was confronted about it, what was his first reaction?
Where's the money?
Where's the money? It's like, oh my gosh, man, this guy, so
show me the money.
Yeah. So, and then there's also mention about the guy that actually was taking the bribery, or giving the bribery. He actually mentioned, guess who, bro? The big guy.
Yes,
the big guy.
It finally came.
Yes,
Bobolinsky, right? That's his name. That he said about the big guy.
He said the big guy first.
They never interviewed him. The FBI.
Yeah.
They never. Why would they interview him? Because they already had more information saying who the big guy was. So it's all coming out.
It's
I'm
all
glad it's coming out. But
Yep.
we're seeing the courts weaponize
Mm-hmm.
against Trump.
Yep.
We're seeing the all the way to the Justice Department, FBI.
Yeah.
And don't forget, the media is covering
Oh,
they're
my gosh,
weaponized
bro,
because you
yes.
can see the way they ask questions, and you can see why. You know, the media is supposed to be the moderators of
The
of the
referees.
debate. Yeah, the
Yes,
referees.
yep.
And Trump, they're making a big stink that Trump doesn't want to come in and be part of the debates, participate. Well,
Man.
why not? We have to remind that they're not asking that same pressure or putting that same pressure on Biden for not debating
Come on.
Kennedy. But let's remind our audience here why
Yeah.
look, here's an example of NBC alone, and when they're put in the position of moderating debates, wow,
Oh, my
this
gosh.
makes Trump's
Yeah.
case.
Where do the poor come in? Where do they place? In this party? On this stage?
In Texas, about a quarter of the people don't have health insurance. That's 50 out of 50, dead last. And, sir, it's pretty hard to defend dead last.
Your state has executed 234 death row inmates, more than any other governor in modern times. Have you struggled to sleep at night? What do you make of that dynamic just happened here? The mention of the execution of 234 people drew applause.
You've described the Black Lives Matter movement as a symbol of hate. What do you say to Americans who say that kind of language from a president is contributing to a climate of hate and racial strife?
I denounce white supremacy.
Okay.
What's your next question?
Do you feel it feels sometimes you're hesitant to do so?
Let's be honest. Is this a comic book version of a presidential campaign?
It's not a comic.
I talked to economic advisors who have served presidents of both parties. They said that you have as much chance of cutting taxes that much without increasing the deficit as you would of flying away from that podium by flapping your arms really
Then when the Sun Sentinel says Rubio should resign, not rip us off, when they say Floridian sent you to Washington to do a job, when they say you act like you hate your job, do you? Do you hate your job?
Your board fired you. I just wondered why you think we should hire you now.
Congressional Republicans, Democrats, and the White House are about to strike a compromise that would raise the debt limit. Does your opposition to it show that you're not the kind of problem solver American voters want?
Mr. Trump, let's talk a little bit about bankruptcies. Bankruptcy is a broken promise. Why should the voters believe the promises that you're telling them right now?
The leading Republican candidate, when you look at the average of national polls right now, is Donald Trump. When you look at him, do you see someone with the moral authority to unite the country?
You know, it's so crazy that they're complaining, but look what they do, bro. Who would want to get in a debate?
You're right.
These are supposed to be the referees. They're supposed to call the balls and strikes, you know, down the middle, evenly, you know. But brother, you see there, yeah, they're not calling balls and strikes. They're striking him with the balls, you know. They're throwing at him, you know. And it's so petty, man. It's just it's irritating, bro. Like the things that they attack him with. Okay.
Yeah, how many times can Trump say he's not for white supremacy? I forget how many dozens of times he's denied it. And they kept on asking him that during that election cycle. I mean, that's just part of it. I mean, how many times are you gonna ask it? It's just ridiculous.
You know, it's really, really ridiculous, bro. You said this before we played the video. They're throwing up a big old fit about him not doing debates and said nothing about Joe Biden or President Biden not wanting to debate.
Well, an icon of the game show industry, entertainment, is now retiring. Some are saying he's being forced to retire because of some slips. His temperament has changed. But you got to give a shout out to Pat Sajak. Announces he will retire from Wheel of Fortune. And, you know, the whole duo with him and Vanna White, I mean, it's been around for a very long time. I remember as a kid, my mom would watch it. We trying to figure out the puzzles. And, you know, I know you learned how to spell during that time, right?
Yes. Actually, seriously.
That was good, though.
It was awesome. I love the challenge of it. Yeah, you're right. I think I learned a lot to read from it. Yes.
Man, what do you think, Pat Sajak?
Oh man, I'm just wondering what is the world of game show without a Pat Sajak, brother?
Yes,
legend.
Sajak 76 who took the helm of Wheel of Fortune in 1981.
Mm-hmm. 41 seasons.
41 seasons. He's going to retire. I think they're 40 right now. But hey man, hats off, salute to Pat Sajak.
Yeah,
many more game shows to come.
Man, thank you, Pat Sajak, for everything you did for my mom. Because man, she spent a lot of time watching those game shows, man. So Icon, brother.
Here in the gold-plated state of California, the San Francisco Standard is reporting that Westfield's San Francisco Center Mall lost 46% of its stores since 2020. That's a very popular mall here in California. And Westfield's announcement. Lodo, you have something to say about that?
No, it's sad. It's sad, and it's more evidence of the concerning condition that we're in as a state. So Westfield, that's actually the biggest mall up there, I believe, and the most popular. And they want to leave. As a matter of fact, the namesake family, the family the place is named after, they don't want anything to do with it. But this is so important, everyone. Family that's watching, this is what happens when you have terrible policies. This is what happens when actually you have a one-party rule. Obviously, taxes, I agree with a lot of the conservative policies and all that. So many can make a case like, oh man, Loto's conservative, and all that. Don't you say I'm a Republican? But seriously though, on a serious note, I think it's dangerous, when you do have a one-party rule. I don't care what party it is, and this is what we're seeing, bro. It just so happens every city that's run by one certain party ends up like this. Now, what I mean by like this, these businesses are leaving California. I've shared with you before, family, the danger of that. We think, oh, just another business. You got to remember, these are some of the biggest taxpayers in our state. And with them goes their tax revenue, and for the poor, that's very dangerous because a lot of the tax revenue goes to paying for the aid that we give those who need it. We, Philville, we both believe that we should help where we can, right?
Yeah, and a reminder, because we do want to help those, is we got to help our businesses. We got to create an environment for those businesses to thrive.
Yes.
And we had the big box stores. I guess what kind of like was the final straw was the closure of Nordstrom there at the mall. And remember, in that same city, Walgreens, Rite Aid, CVS, there's some Walmarts I hear here in California even closing down. Starbucks, those big ones that you feel like have the money to sustain.
Yeah,
they don't want because there's no protection in the law. They're stealing from them, and they're shutting down. They're making it not very motivating for us to go shopping.
The number one thing you need for these businesses as a government is to provide security. And when these businesses feel unsafe, well, they're not going to stick around. They're not in business, to make everybody else happy. They're in it to provide for their family and all that. And they need a safe place to run their operations. So that's why when you wonder, why do we have so many district attorneys that's just letting people out of prison? I tell you this before, with my tin hat on and all, they need the chaos. They need the break. They need things to be unsafe. They don't care if businesses are leaving our state, because here's the thing. These businesses are leaving. The middle class is gone. They're in San Francisco. There's areas that used to be flush with business. They've turned into homeless camps and all that. Now, those homeless camps, when you have people there, Philville, who wants justice and they have a legal issue and they want, or anything that has to, whether it's legal or not, Philville, with no middle class, without anybody that's able to stand up for the government, who's going to protect these homeless folks? Who's going to protect the small guy?
That is completely correct. Who is going to protect my family? Who's going to protect? There's the security. A law and order is nowhere near in sight here. They're not even enforcing from the small things to the big things. And remember all those gateway crimes of theft, all those small petty theft that they try to condone, and all the prosecutors let them off, not even a slap on the wrist, and because rape predators are being let out the same day and not being prosecuted. So I think we got to say enough is enough here in California.
Exactly, bro. And then at the end of the day, who's the only one left to, with protection? It's those who can afford the protection. So again,
politicians.
It's a politician and the uber rich,
the elite.
When the business class leaves, when all these small businesses leaves, there's no more middle guy to protect the small guy. We need to pay attention to what's going on in our own state. So man, but yeah, this is a really important story, and we have a lot more from our state.
Yeah, here in the state, and way back when now, Prop 8 is now looking to be not overturned, but amended in a way that, because it's in our Constitution, right? We passed it here as Californians. I know the church.
Remember that fight,
Cornerstone. I remember we were in a major
Thank God
campaign.
for Pastor, man.
Yes, his
Praise
leadership
God.
here all the way to he really impacted Sacramento. And a lot of the churches came in unity to take a stand on traditional marriage and for Prop 8, and now they're looking to remove that. Lodo, what do you think about this?
Well, I thank God for Jim doing that. Sent us to alerted us to this morning. Amendment 5, like Phil said. I mean, I can't add anything. Really, you did a great job, bro. It's really trying to remove Prop 8 from our Constitution here in the state. Now this is why this is important, folks. Roe versus Wade, that was struck down. That was a national thing. That was a federal thing. And what they did was they sent it back to the states. Everybody that said, "Oh, there's not going to be any more abortion in America," no, that's not what that was about. It was just about sending power back to the people of the state. So every state got to make their own decisions about abortion issues. Now, so from there, you had the states who didn't have really any laws on the books about abortion. They had to create laws. They had to come up with these laws and have people vote on it. Now, the thing about this here, Amendment 5, marriage between a man and a woman is already in our Constitution. Thank God, for Prop 8, because that's what Prop 8 did. Amendment 5 would remove that from our state constitution. So here's the thing. When the Supreme Court justice, ruled in favor of marriage, between a man and a man, a woman and a woman, to take down the traditional marriage, what happened was it became a federal law. Now, if they get rid of that law, again, just like abortion, they'll send it back to the states. In California, it's already in our Constitution that marriage is between a man and a woman. So we would go back to that. This amendment would, again, remove Prop 8 from the Constitution. And this is why they're trying to bring this up now. Some people think, oh, it's no big deal. It is a very big deal. Because I think for, 40 years, nobody ever thought that Roe versus Wade would be struck down. And now we're living where we're living now. So, yeah, bro, this is it's pretty historic, man. I found it very interesting just because, the role that we had, in its really in its creation, man.
Yeah, it is. It does take me back about all the fight that, again, it was very encouraged back then. It really brought a lot of the church body together here in the state of California and here locally in the Central Valley. Yes. And, another bill that's kind of coming to the state assembly here in California is AB 957.
Yes.
Recently named California bill would, watch this now, this is very, very concerning, would add affirming the sexual transition of a child to the state standard for parental responsibility and child welfare, making it any parent who doesn't affirm transgenderism for their child guilty of abuse under California state law. That means us Christians. That means anybody. If you don't tell your daughter that she's a boy, you don't tell your boy that he's a girl, you are now jeopardized for CPS coming and taking that child out of your home.
Yes, brother. And it's actually it is worse than that, bro. And that's why they're amending this, because we're already there where they can be taken away, we're jeopardizing, our parental rights and all that. But no, what this actually really does, it makes that a child abuse. Yeah, that's the difference. That's the concern. Now, if we don't affirm, if we don't agree, then we'd be in trouble for child abuse. And that's the difference here. The other concerning thing is, where does this stop? And that's the issue. That's why we keep pushing on here, bro. All these bills, we keep bringing them to everybody's alert and asking everybody to pray about these things, whether it's Amendment 5, it's AV, 957, even that whole amendment that Chloe Cole, spoke out against. It is so important for us to pray about these matters, because these people feel it's like a bottomless pit. They can never go enough. They always overdo it. And so they're actually amending something that they already passed. But the danger is now we would be in trouble, for parents who wouldn't agree. Yeah, it's child abuse. Where does it end? What about when churches don't agree?
They're making it the same level as sexual abuse, as physical abuse. That is very scary.
Dangerous.
Yeah,
yes.
just calling a boy a boy.
Exactly. And the thing is, they keep it so veiled and they don't really give a description of what's what. they can almost make up anything. They can say that anything is abusive. You know, the way that this new amendment is written out, you know, they really, what's the term that we used to use before? The convenience of confusion. The convenience of they want to take full advantage of that, you know, and so the crazy thing is this is not even explaining what they actually mean as far as what is the child abuse, when is it child abuse, because again, they want to have that convenience to call it whatever they want.
Yes, and speaking of confusion, there is confusion on, if you heard about this, the White House lawn. There is confusion happening everywhere with very behavior. There actually, somebody was banned inappropriate, but it was kind of too late because what was happening that they celebrated Pride Month there, the president and the first lady, and there's some B-roll going on right now. There you can see them celebrating. You can see
parents watch your kids.
Yeah. And it's censored here, but you had a man who had basically just topless as of now a woman. I don't know how to describe this. It's kind of very inappropriate. And then you saw women who became men. We could see the scars of their chest.
Gosh.
And this is here promoted as a family
in the White House.
Yeah, as gender affirmation surgery that's happening, showing the scars. And then, I didn't read this description. It's just pretty, just grotesque. And this is being pushed. This is being celebrated. I mean, I remember seeing something on Twitter that somebody said, look, here you see 2 U.S. flags about country. And the other one is about who you sleep with.
And we have our president sitting there. I believe he's enjoying the whole thing. Now, look, again, these are all adults. It's America. Let them do it. But this stuff belongs in a strip club. This belongs like somewhere else. This does not belong in our White House, bro. And I think was it banned or what happened?
Yeah,
today?
the topless trans activist was banned for inappropriate behavior. You know, for going topless again for there with the community and their families
after the fact.
Yeah, after the fact.
After they did all of it, and
yeah. I guess for future visits.
And for those who can't see the video, if you see the video, believe me, the politicians and everybody that was in the White House enjoying this was not thinking about banning them. So that shows you the power of the people when the people speak up.
Yeah, and you know, speaking up, there was high school students were speaking up through their booing, and in the middle of math class, a teacher was playing a Pride video.
Wow. Why are you showing this to kids?
Hey, I'll warn you guys now, if you're going to be inappropriate, I will have supervision down and give all of you a Saturday school for next year. So knock it off.
Okay.
Very inappropriate in the school.
They were forced to watch it.
They were forced to watch it, and the teacher threatened them to go to Saturday school if they kept on protesting.
Wow, parents, speak up. Speak up. I thank God there's children who are speaking up, brother. It's a good day in America, man, when you have people speaking up for themselves and their rights, you know. So parents, keep it up. You know, these kids come from good parents. So I thank God for that.
Yeah, I know that you stated last episode that how Fast and Furious is a very big part of your life, and that you love that because, you know, we shared here on Overflow that you love to be a daredevil and drive, right? You've admitted here and allegedly that you're a driver.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Brother.
So, well, one of the stars, you know, Tyrese Gibson, you know, was slammed by Hollywood for, he's actually, let me say it this way, because, you know, he's actually slamming Hollywood for trying to normalize the devil. He says we need to be more vocal about Jesus. And here's a clip.
Of you to know. As much as I'm supposed to be promoting this movie and talking about my album, I just feel like we're in competition right now because they are trying to normalize the devil. They are trying to the devil is on the main stage at award shows and in every video and signs and symbols. And I said, you know what? We need to stop treating our relationship with Jesus like the little buddy that you talk to before you go to bed at night and not be more vocal about all the things that God means to us and all of the things that God has brought us through. Because there's been a lot of moments that you didn't post about. But yet you know, how did God decide to get me through this.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, they going above and beyond to promote the devil. And it's pissing me off because the devil worshipers used to be real secretive, going down in the basement, this secret world. Now they just
they on the device too.
The devil, Lodo. You see, Hollywood. Somebody in Hollywood taking a stand against the devil and preaching Jesus. Now, we're not saying he's like 100% right. We're endorsing him, everything that he does, but we do have to.
None of us 100% right, bro.
Yeah, so it's like I got excited when I saw this. Like,
Praise God.
He is shouting out for Jesus,
Amen,
and saying we're normalizing, because we talked about here on Overflow. Remember the Taylor Swift debacle there on the stage promoting Satanism and all that.
Yep.
And we're making it. They're entertaining. They are targeting their kids because they're making light of what the devil was about, and the devil is real. Hell's real.
I love this, bro. Shout out to Tyrese, man. Way to go, bro, on stepping up and speaking out. I really thank God, brother, because the last few episodes we've been asking, everybody to speak out, and people are definitely speaking out. Not that everybody watches our show, and that you made all that happen, but I'm so glad to see it happen, bro. This is amazing. But let me kind of speculate on why Tyrese is speaking out. First of all, he has spoken about Christianity quite a bit, so I give him that. And like you said, nobody's perfect, man, but I love my boy. One of my favorite parts of the Fast and Furious franchise, bro. And I believe that Tyrese is speaking up. As a matter of fact, he's not the only celebrity. There's quite a few people coming out now and speaking up. Family, viewers, listeners, America, this is because of how God is using you to embolden our fellow, patriots. I don't know if these guys would speak up if they didn't see the response, of Americans to these things. There's such a huge pushback now. You look at Target. You look at Bud Light, you look at, even Cole's got in some hot water, and all these people. And so they're seeing this and they're being encouraged. So let's keep it moving. Keep on speaking up. Keep on speaking out. Wherever you see it, don't tolerate it. Don't even let a little bit of it get. Nope. You address it and speak out. Because just like Terry said, right? If they saying this, if they can get up and be all loud about what they think and all that, well, we should be able to do at least that. Look, I remember at one point, I forget, was it this year or at the end of last year, when there was a football player who pretty much had a heart attack on the football field. Nobody got on their knees on that field and started praying to Satan. Nobody on ESPN started calling out, hey, we need to pray to Satan. Everybody knew that it was God that they needed. And I thank God so much, because here's the thing, Philville. If we don't speak out, we already see our kids will speak out. But if nobody speaks out, God will speak out for himself. Yeah. Man, I'm not going to leave it to God to do that, especially when God, bro, has done so many awesome things in our lives. And especially when we ourselves, we see what the devil is trying to do to destroy so many lives. So, man, shout out to Teresa. Shout out to every celebrity, man, that's speaking up and putting really their career on the line.
Well, I don't know if you heard about this. This was across all of the media outlets right now. This is a very encouraging story. I mean, out of the tragedy, there was children that survived 40 days in the Colombian jungle after the tragedy took place, and their mom was killed in a plane crash, and they were found alive. Now, they went 40 days in a mosquito-ridden jungle with all the wild animals, and apparently their mom was alive for 3 or 4 days afterwards, and they were there at the crash site, and the mom said, "You go and you survive." And the rescuers found hope because they saw the footprints of the kids, and they found them. And there was one that was 13 years old, 9, 4, and 11 months old.
Wow.
Stranded alone with snakes, jaguars, and mosquitoes again. Man, thank God that they were found. And I remember hearing a quote on, I think, on Fox, and they were saying, the mom was saying, "Go with your dad and live." And I'm like, wow. It's just I know it's paraphrasing, but man, she really encouraged their kids.
That's amazing, brother. You said it's bittersweet, bro, but wow.
Okay, Lodo, man, this would have been scary for me if I was at this particular funeral. I mean, we've had our worst nightmare come to pass, but I mean, praise God for this.
Well, depending, right?
Yeah. Here on Daily Mail, moment, an Ecuadorian woman who's 76 was knocking inside of her coffin. She comes back to life during her own funeral, hours after a doctor declared her dead at the hospital.
What in the world?
Yeah, man, I didn't even know. I guess there was a condition. I mean, would you be freaking out?
Bro, he said a nightmare. But that would depend, right, on who's in the box and who. Golly. So she was dead and she, what? Bro, first of all, I think every person has thought, like, at a funeral, what if they get up? Why if they get up, man? This literally happened.
Yeah, medical experts reached by there in the town believe Montoya was in a state of, I can't pronounce the word, just basically there's a condition that, that you can't really tell the breathing, and they're just at a state of, I don't know, that just you can't see no signs of life.
That is wild.
She was declared dead, and I mean their son was happy and
oh
man,
wow,
yeah. So the Waking Dead, man, she is
Waking Dead. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Montoya can be seen struggling to breathe and moving her jaw.
What in the world?
Yeah. Moments later, paramedics arrived and placed her body on a stretcher before rushing her to the hospital, where she was placed under intensive care.
So I wonder if it's like girls that go through the whole pregnancy thing, and they find out that they weren't pregnant. I wonder if it's kind of like those kind of symptoms, or that kind of condition, because that's crazy, bro.
Yeah, just keep her in prayer. I'm not sure where her status is at this time, but
yeah,
man, that sounds scary. Can you imagine waking up like that? I mean, have you ever seen that prank? There was a prank of this guy, best prank ever.
No way.
Yeah, there was a guy. He wakes up and they knocked him out, and he woke up from a casket, and they had all the family members there. The mom, dad, he gets up and he's like, Mom, Dad. And he's trying to get their attention. Nobody reacts. And they're like, mourning. Man, he was freaking out.
It was a prank?
It was a prank. And so they got him, and they revealed it was a prank.
Who was pulling the prank?
The whole family was in. I'm not sure if it was a TV show. It was on TikTok.
Brother,
yeah.
I would have got myself emancipated. Like, what in the world?
It was
The
an older
family
guy, yeah. Did you see that, Matt? No? Okay.
That's crazy,
it's hilarious,
bro.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. If he was an older guy, he's, and he okay, but yeah, I'd hate for that to happen to some kid. You talk about a lifetime of drama. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. We didn't.
Or trauma.
Yeah. We never know what parents pull off, but we did mention also too that a father pretended to be dead to teach his kids a lesson. That's a whole another topic. But hey, well, that's it for.
It's your news makers and breakers.
And family, welcome back to Extended Conversation. Thank you for joining us. Just going to wrap up this episode with another word of encouragement. Again, for most of us, we're still in the season of graduation. In fact, we're closing it up, wrapping up graduation season. And I just wanted to share something with you. Here you see a picture of 13 graduates. I shared this with everybody, early on. In Juvenile Hall, we had the honor of being at a ceremony where we celebrated 13 youth that graduated, Philville, behind the walls, brother.
I see in the picture here right now. Of course, they're protecting identity, the covering of their hats.
Yes.
Those of you listening. But they're having the beautiful green gowns right there with you and Maria.
Yeah.
Man, I love that. It's reaching 13 reasons why we thank God we get to serve the youth at Fresno County Juvenile Hall. Congratulations to these who graduate against the odds.
Yes.
That's it right there.
Yeah, bro. And it's awesome. It was so precious being here. Let me explain what everybody else is looking at that can see this picture. They're looking at, there's real estate agents there. There's welders in there. There's entrepreneurs obviously there. And we even have a nurse, somebody that's going to be a nurse. And I say that because these are kids that's actually studying for these things. Some of these kids in this picture, Philville, is already in their second semester of college.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. We even have a nurse, like I said. I just think, man, how God can take somebody who used to destroy lives, or participate in things that would take lives. And now they're participating in things that takes care of lives, brother. Beloved, that's what I want to encourage all of you with. If these kids can do this, what could you do? You're not incarcerated, but some of you've probably seen this in prison. I don't know how, because you shouldn't be having phones in prisons, but no, seriously. And the thing is, it's like, what can you do from there? I want to remind you about an Apostle Paul who wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. Apostle Paul, who literally God used to change the world, even continues to change the world today. Apostle Paul, man, who wrote all these letters to churches and changed the Roman road back then with a pen and paper from behind the walls. He himself was a prisoner. He himself was a convict. He himself was an inmate. He himself was incarcerated. But I love what Paul said, Phil. He said that, man, I might be in chains, but the gospel is not chained. You know, and I just want to encourage all of you, beloveds, you know, to just consider what more can you do with your liberty, and what can you do with your salvation? That was one of the most powerful questions I've ever heard in my life. When somebody asked somebody, what are you doing with your salvation? For Christians, what are you doing with your salvation? For those who are not incarcerated, what are you doing with your liberty? What are you doing with it? Go do something great. Go do something awesome, because you can. Now, Phil, one thing that I always keep in mind, Maria and I and the whole team, is that we understand that there's victims.
Yeah.
If there's 100 kids in a juvenile hall or incarcerated, that means there's 100 families, brother, who had to suffer because of the crimes that they committed. So we don't forget them. And I want to encourage you, if you're a victim, look, brother, you ain't got to talk to me about being a victim of crime.
Yeah.
I'm blind because of it. You know, I'm serving a sentence of right along them. You know, I'm in my 28th year, almost 29th year of this sentence, you know. But here's the thing I encourage, you know, these young people, you know, because there is a lot of remorse, Philville. There's a lot of regret, you know, and that's what we deal with the most. Our biggest challenge in there are kids who doesn't forgive themselves. You know, and I understand it, you know, because they did something that, you know, that they regret, you know, a lot of them. And so one thing I encourage them with, and I want to share this with those who might be victims, you know, of a crime. One thing I share with these kids is, look, if you really want to make things right, you know, you're probably not going to be able to stand in front of the family and make amends in that way. But at least do something with your life. At least do something incredible with your life. That way, whatever loss they had or whatever injury or whatever they suffered, it was not in vain. At least some good came out of it, you know? And that's what we encourage these kids with. And it's amazing, bro, because you see them light up because they understand, wait a minute, I can do something. I can do something. I can get back. I could do something. And the light turns on. And then that light becomes this seed. And this seed just becomes the flower. And this flower becomes a tree. And then this tree becomes a nurse, bro.
Yeah.
This tree becomes a welder repairing bridges. This tree becomes, you know, a real estate providing homes for families. You know, and man, it's just incredible to see the transformation that takes place in these places, brother. It never gets old, you know. So again, I want to challenge, even if you're incarcerated, what are you doing with your time? One thing I share with everybody that's incarcerated is don't let time do you. You do the time. So what are you doing with the time? These kids right here, they went to school. They finished. These are actually kids that got locked up as dropouts. They were not going to go back to school, but they decided to make something of the life that they were given and the second chance they were given. And that, man, whatever they did, you know, and the loss or the injury, whatever it was not in vain. That at least a little bit of good came out of it. I'm thankful that in this situation, a lot of good came out of it. But if you're, what are you doing with your time? Again, for those who are free, you're not incarcerated. What are you doing with your liberty? What are you doing with your liberty? And are you even free? Because you don't have to be in chains and behind a cell or in the side of a cell to be a prisoner. How's that addiction going? You're bound up in all this and that. I know somebody that can set you free. His name is Jesus. All you have to do is call on him. I don't need to preach a 3-hour message on that. That's literally all you have to do. Call on Jesus now. Call on Jesus now. Same thing I did at that funeral. When I called on God, same thing I did on my hospital bed. That should have been my deathbed. Just as simple as calling on Jesus. Nobody was there to preach a sermon. Nobody was there to sing a song. Nobody was even there to give an altar call. It was just me, Jesus, and my sister. That was it. I called on Jesus. And when I talk about I'm serving this 29-year sentence or 28-year sentence, it's the greatest sentence I've ever served. And I thank God for it. because I'm using this time and I'm using this sentence to serve others. For those of you that are saved, what are you doing with your salvation? What are you doing with your salvation? Are you just sitting on it? Jesus didn't save you so you can sit down and sit around and then wait on the bus to go to heaven. Jesus saved you so you can finally stand up and serve somebody, so you can experience the joy of loving your neighbor as yourself, which our prayer is, Philville,
Yes.
that these 13 will have an opportunity to do themselves.
Yes, a lot of great things happening there in Juvenile Hall. Man, that powerful against all the odds.
Yes.
And thank God for the team and the leadership of you and your wife, Maria, providing there. And, Lodo didn't ask me this, but I really want to just say, say a prayer for Lodo Ministries. God is using Lodo and his wife to really
Praise
impact the state of California. There's some doors opening up. I'm sure he'll announce there in the correction facilities. And you know what? Matter of fact, visit lodoministries.com. If you're able to give through the ministry to impact lives, you could give a one-time gift or a monthly reoccurring gift there on the website. Again, you are giving to a ministry that are impacting hundreds, if not thousands, of lives and families for generations. Again, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Overflow. And God is doing a lot of great things and a lot more things to come. Lodo?
Thank you, Jerk. This guy knows I hate asking about all that, but I'm getting better at it. But no, seriously, thank you sincerely, Phil. I really appreciate that, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you, everybody. Again, like Phil said, thank you for joining us. Can't wait to see you next episode. Love y'all. Lord bless.
You've been listening to Overflow, the extended conversation, obliterating social norms, and overrunning the cultural corrosion with righteous rhetoric and common sense. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit us up on social media at OverflowEXT. Lord bless, and we'll see you next time on Overflow, the extended conversation.